Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for D today, we have the Dandy Donut Factory mug. Again, some of my players got this for me, actually. I like it a lot. I love little diner mugs. And inside of it, we have some lemon zinger from Celestial Seasonings. This is a great somewhere between evening and afternoon, because it is kind of like a little bit rich, but also not that rich. It does have that zing of lemon, if you will. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about today is something that plagues a lot of people that play Dungeons and Dragons, especially people that run Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPGs as a whole. It is sort of a... It is a constant threat for anybody that does creative things, anybody that does things in general. Burnout. How do you combat burnout, particularly as a DM? How do you get around being burned out, being blocked mentally, being, just like weary from your game? I've got 5 things that I have suggestions for, things that I have used in the past to get me through my ruts that I have and back to loving the world that I've presented, the game that I am running for people, the game I'm playing in sometimes. So let's go ahead and let's talk about those things. Starting with number 1, get on the other side of the screen. Even just for a one-shot real quick, find somebody else who wants to run, who wants to try running, who has different games or something. See if you can sit in with them. Just get yourself on the opposite side of the screen. If you're a dungeon master, that means being a player for a little bit, and if you're a player, it means being the GM for a little bit for D&D or a different game. Just having that shift in perspective, having the responsibility change, really sort of lets you disconnect from the role that you were in before, because the two are similar in that you're both sitting at the table and you're both interacting with the same story, but they're so vastly different in what you need to do for them that it is genuinely a good change of pace sometimes if you play in like 4 different games to just sit down and be the one in control, or if you are the one that is running 4 different games to be the one that sits down and goes along for the ride with the story and participates as a solo member instead of being, the whole theater company that is putting it on. Getting on the other side of the screen cannot be understated for how valuable it really can be in just sort of letting you adjust the way you're thinking about the game. Because it really is that. It is about, like I said before, the responsibility shift. It is about turning on that other part of your brain. You're not deep in a single character, or you are not trying to keep track of a million different things. You are doing the opposite of those things, which is super helpful. It well and truly is. The droughts that I have as a DM are often solved by just a one-shot where I get to be the player. Or if I am feeling kind of tired of a character as a player, I will sit down and I'll be able to DM a session, and afterwards I feel a lot better, honestly. Just because it allows you to disconnect from what is the thing that is sort of weighing on your brain. So that's number 1. Get on the other side of the screen. Number 2, try a different system. D&D is a rules-heavy system. I don't care what you think. It is heavy on the rules. I know that learning other systems is daunting, but there is a reason that you can look at D&D and go, oh man, I understand that. It is like 40 books long or something like that. And then there are systems out there, sorry, I'm moving real quick, that fit in a book, like a single book. Like this is an entire RPG system right here. This guy right here, sitting next to me on this side, is the third-party book that I talked about the other day. You see a difference here? And this game is a whole lot of fun. It's got a different vibe to it. It's got a different system to it. Definitely recommend checking out Arc. Maybe I'll talk about it at some point. But like, just getting your head around a different set of mechanics can sometimes loosen the screws that are really just sort of frozen in place while you are trying to operate in the system that you predominantly play in. And if you don't want to make a huge jump away from something, then find one that is similar. If you are a heavy Powered by the Apocalypse player, maybe find one that uses the 2d6 system still. Arc uses the 2d6 system still. Just pick a game that is close but not too far away, or close but not too close, if you want to be able to like feel that shift. Like, I don't know that I would recommend doing D&D to Pathfinder as your break, but like D&D to GURPS maybe, or something like. I don't really know. Most of the systems that I play in are powered by the Apocalypse or have their own dice system or something like that. The Kids On games, super easy. They're like 100 pages long and the same size as the ARC book that I just showed you. And the rules are super simple. They're super light. They're not difficult to comprehend. But if you are playing one of those predominantly and you want to feel a little bit more of the crunch, diving into 5e, if you understand it, is a great way to go, because suddenly you get to like dig into mechanics that aren't there, and you get to like really lose yourself in how these things work, and it's really good. And the other thing with a different system is that most systems occupy a slightly different sphere of fantasy somewhere. So you're not like leaving the fantasy genre behind entirely, but you are giving yourself a break from like the maybe high fantasy that you are playing D&D in for ARC, which is an apocalypse game, or Kids On, which is like a Stranger Things type game, really, essentially. And so it just, using a different system can give you that sort of release that you might be looking for that you don't really know that you're looking for yet. So, number 2, try other systems. Number 3, lose yourself in another world. Similar to what I just mentioned with trying a different system, lose yourself in a different world, but remove the TTRPG aspect from it, maybe. Lose yourself in a book, a video game, TV show, movie, anything, like any form of media that allows you to just sort of like release from the real world. And release from the world that you are connected into in your D&D game, your tabletop game, whatever it is. There is so much inspiration that comes from those forms of media already in the D&D modules that we run, in the D&D stories that we write. It is just so good sometimes to go and look at something else, and you get a different perspective on something. You get a different take on something, something that feels familiar to you, even if it is something entirely different. Maybe you are running a game in your D&D game where there is a tiny rebel faction that is trying to overthrow an empire or something like that. I just described Star Wars to you as well. Like, just jump over, go watch Star Wars for a little bit, and you can see your game reflected there, but it is in a different context. If you want to get away from that, go check out something like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. Go check out Lost. Go check out any of these things that will just, like, remove you from the world that you are currently struggling to, like, wrap your mind around, because there's just so much beating back and forth in your head. And when you do that and you go look at something else, you go lose yourself in something else, you go find love in something else, when you come back, you will have a different perspective coming in to look at your own world. You'll have a fresh perspective. It's kind of like handing the world book of your world to a buddy that you've told a lot about it, but them coming in and flipping through it and seeing the specifics again for the first time, and being able to give you some suggestions, give you some pointers, maybe make some adjustments that overall will help everything flow a lot smoother, because they are not deep entrenched in the like tiny little details of it. And taking that break and using a different medium as an escape for a little while allows you to just sort of get that release that you don't necessarily always have when you are sitting down and typing, or sitting down and writing. It allows you to expand without having to sit and slog through it necessarily. So number 3, lose yourself in another world. And by another world, I mean another form of media world. Because number 4 is focus on something else that you love for a little while. I mentioned taking a break before, by like taking a break from your world. Maybe take a break from like gaming as a whole. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to have a soft break with gaming for a few weeks, a month, something like that. Are you into hiking? Go hiking. Go, make snow angels, go rake leaves, go to the wood shop, work on something. Do whatever it is that makes you happy to just like be able to do. Everybody's got hobbies outside of D&D. Well, I guess not everybody has hobbies outside of D&D. Most people have hobbies outside of D&D. If you don't have one readily available to you, start one. Just experiment with something else. See what you can find in the world that make you happy. I love making things. It is my job a lot of the time, but I love getting to like craft things. I build big structures and stuff like that, and so when I get to like make little things, like finer detail things, it's a really nice sort of like focused release for me that I don't necessarily get in other places. And there's so much problem solving into going and making like little prop things that you can mess around with and play with and hold and whatever, that I just it is what really sort of like helps scrub my brain clean if I really need to take that break. Additionally, getting out and going on a long walk, on a hike with my dog, something like that, really just helps me reset in my brain. Getting up and going to breakfast. It doesn't even have to be at like a fancy place. You can go to like Waffle House or something. Or just driving through a McDonald's and then going and sitting on the hood of your car somewhere. Just get yourself out. Let yourself have like a break, a proper break. Because a lot of times when you're suffering from burnout in your game sessions, you're going to be suffering from some kind of burnout or some kind of like heavy stress level somewhere else in your life too. It just, these things, they don't come solo. They always come together for some reason. And so sometimes what your body is screaming at you is just, you need to take a break. What your mind is wanting is just like 10 minutes of no noise for a little bit. And that's great. That's what it wants. That's what it needs. Just give it to it. There's nothing wrong with giving that to it. Which leads into number 5, which is take a real break. Like a proper break from kind of everything. Give yourself permission to have that real break. Pursue the things that you are truly passionate about for just a little bit. If you are stuck in a TTRPG game and you can't think about what to do, just message your party. Be like, hey guys, I really need like a week or two here just to like reset. My brain is not in the right spot. I can't get my head around what's going on right now. I just need a reset. People understand. They really do. It's okay. And so give yourself a break. If you have the ability to, take a mini trip somewhere or something like that. Give yourself something that is not work, that is not the game, that is not any of that, because something that is low stress, something that has low consequences if something come bad, or if it doesn't work out in the right way. Like, don't stake, all of your savings on a big trip across the country for something if like there's the potential that it's going to go bad. Don't say, I need a break, and then go out to Hollywood to audition for a bunch of films hoping that you'll like get your big break or something like that. Just give yourself a break. Go wander through the woods for a few days. Go camp, go, or just sleep for like 2 days in a row or something. Just let yourself like relax. Let yourself drop all that stress. Let it wash away. You'd be amazed what just 48 hours away from high intensity things can do to really loosen up the inspiration screws in your head, give you that sort of like juice to keep going again. Because oftentimes I will have my best ideas at one of 2 time frames. One is when I am so busy that I cannot stand to do anything else, but like my life is scheduled out to the minute every single day of the week, like 6 days a week usually at least. Or when I'm doing absolutely nothing. Like I could just be sitting on the couch, or I could be making some dinner, or I could be walking with my dog or something like that, and it just like pops into my head. And those are the 2 times for me. And so if I'm really stuck at work and I am like running myself down and down and down and down, the solution, take a minute, give myself like an actual day off once in a while, and take a proper break from really everything. So again, 5 tips, quote unquote, to address burnout, I guess in TTRPGs, but really in life, I guess a lot of times these are what work for me. But these are the things that I've used in TTRPGs. I have jumped to the other side of the screen for just a session or 2, maybe longer, just to let myself relax into the other role and then come back to the original role with a different perspective. 2, try a different system out. They're a lot of fun. I love other systems. They are so great. And quite frankly, more people should be playing other systems too, because they really are fun, and D&D isn't the best system for every single story that needs to be told. Number 3, lose yourself in another world. Book, video game, TV, movie. Like, get out there in your brain cells. Get yourself out there. get out to a different point in the fantasy of not reality for a little while. Number 4, focus on something else that you love for a little while. Give yourself permission to just like focus on a different hobby. Let it be the thing that you do for, it doesn't even have to be a very long time. It could be a day, 2 days, something like that. Something that will let you just kind of float away into something that you love. And number 5, take a real break, like a real break, because we don't get enough of those. And sometimes just a little bit of rest is actually what we need. So those are my 5 tips for addressing burnout, getting through sometimes, which is all you really need. Trying to help yourself sort of fall back in love with the game that you are playing in, that you started maybe, that you're having a good time in. But that's what I have for you guys on that. So getting to the shows that we have today. Today we have The Paper Dungeon, Chromatic Dice, Beyond the Realms, Unprepared Casters, Greetings Adventurers, Bards of New York, Hapless Heroes, Ivan Adventures, Cast Party, 3 Black Halflings, Hello from the Magic Tavern, King Leo D&D, Anti-Heroes Anonymous, The Tabletop Tavern, Top of the Round, and League of Lady Adventurers. Go check them out. Let them know that I sent you, because again, someday somebody's going to say something to me about it, and I'm going to think that is very funny. But until then, I'm going to keep asking you guys to do it. So, anyway, with all that said, that's what I have to talk to you guys about today. So thank you so very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the episode description. And yeah, that's what I got. So with all that said, everybody, don't forget, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.